Tiger Woods gets involved with something, he starts swinging his huge, powerful dick around, and things get done in the right way.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Foreplay presented by Barstool Sports. We got the whole squad. It's myself, Trent, Frankie, and Lurch. It is August 23rd, 2022 when this show airs. We got a lot to get to, a ton to get to. More breaking news, obviously, in the live department. All kinds of fallout information from the meeting with Tiger Woods and Rory McIlroy. News about a venture they've been working on for years that includes stadiums. We got Breaking 90 that I want to get into. We've got a new Game of Thrones that came out that we were talking about a lot pre-show because I haven't actually watched it yet. We got a bunch of From the Galleries, which I assume we won't get to any of them, even though we will preface it by saying we're going to get to a lot of them. So we got a whole kind of normal show to do on this fine Tuesday that this is airing. So, boys, hello. How are your weekends? Good, I hope.
Fantastic weekend. Frankie, did you watch House of the Dragon?
I did.
Okay, I just want to get clear on where everybody is in terms of if they've watched it, if they haven't watched it. I watched it. Riggs has not watched it. Frankie has watched it. Lurch didn't even know it existed. So that's where we're at right now.
That's amazing. And it's the biggest thing, on the internet.
Yeah, I had no idea. I knew it was coming out. I just didn't know it was out yet.
I'd say it's unacceptable to not know that was playing last night.
He's a big Game of Thrones guy.
I am. I was on the Grand Canyon for a few days and had no internet access or
this was last night.
Right, I know. But so anyways.
Sunday night at 9 o'clock, like HBO, the whole world was tweeting about it. I thought it was fantastic. I really thought it was a great first episode without giving anything away. Like, I just thought it was a really, really, really good way to start off a new story to get you invested in everything. So I think they could have fucked it up. I think it could have been cheesy. It could have been like too much. I thought it was perfect.
Yeah, I thought it was great. And a big part of Game of Thrones, and I was reminded of this yesterday or on Sunday, is the social media culture around it is really, really fun. Like the lead up to an episode is so exciting. Everybody's talking about it. Now you can get into like, people talking about whether they like the show or they don't like the show, but people who like Game of Thrones and like that world, which I'm one of those people, I love the lead up to it. Yesterday, Sunday, I was just sitting there being like, I don't think I'm tweeting enough about how excited I am. And I couldn't figure out what to tweet. But then when it's happening, everybody's tweeting about it. And I agree. I thought it was a great opener, a great first episode, just to kind of bring us back into that world a little bit. Not to give anything away, but a lot of violence. A lot.
Yeah.
Good. Look, this will be the 1 week that I just couldn't do it. I got friends in town. We were hanging. We were at the brewery. I wasn't going to be like, I have to escape to like lock into this show. It's a golf trip, the whole deal. So I haven't been able to do it. I'm going to watch it Wednesday when we fly to Toronto for the Barstool Classic. First one ever that's going to be international. So I'm excited for that. Downloaded it, saving it for the flight. I tried to watch it last night before I went to sleep after having several beers throughout the day and being like, oh yeah, I can get through this at 12:30 at night, and made it through the first 10 minutes. Woke up and didn't really remember anything except I was saying to Trent beforehand, I remember kind of the hype at the very beginning, and it got me jacked up. But I couldn't make it through it because of the circumstances. So I'm very, very excited. And I imagine going forward, we'll be able to break down and basically turn this into a Thrones podcast as we move through the fall. And there's really no golf to talk about anyway. So plenty of that coming up. I heard the show was great, but I don't want to ruin it. So House of Dragon next week, you'll probably get your much, much desired, I can only presume all the listeners of our golf podcast, much desired episode recaps of House of the Dragon. Curve. We got to talk about Curve. Then I want to get into Breaking 90 because, like everyone, I watched the most recent episode. Trent was right fucking there. Take control of your finances, much like Trent's trying to take control of his golf scores. Managing them in one place, no matter whether it's in dollars or crypto, and earn extra rewards on top, all with Curve. Curve's great. You sync all your credit cards, debit cards, whatever you got, into one card, and then you get bonuses, rewards, whatever the hell you want to call them, points for each one of your credit cards. It does it automatically, and then you also get rewards from Curve itself. So you're just bringing on all kinds of hassle and all kinds of trying to juggle a million things at the same time, trying to know which card to use to optimize at certain times. You got to carry around a Costanza wallet like Trent with his fucking hotel room keys. You don't have to worry about any of that with Curve. So Curve combines your entire wallet into a single card do yourself a favor. Make sure you go to curve.com/barstool to receive $20 in Curve cash once you've downloaded the app, opened an account, and made a first transaction. Terms and conditions do apply. But again, go to curve.com/barstool. Receive $20 in Curve cash. That's curve.com/barstool. All right, breaking 90. So most recent, I believe it was at Colonial Springs. Is that correct?
Yep.
I don't want to be a spoiler, but it's been 4 or 5 days now that people have had the opportunity to watch it. I would say cover your ears for the next 15 seconds or so, but I think it ended up being a 91 or 92 that Trent posted. You were right there the entire time. You were hitting great shots. I think there was some discouragement from the last couple of weeks when it's like 96 and this. If you could shoot 92, you could shoot 88. That's just a fact, I would say.
Yeah. No, I was much more encouraged after the latest round than I was after the back-to-back at Rockville, because I think I shot a 97 the first time at Rockville. I shot a 96 at Rockville. We went there 2 times in a row, and I just felt like 97, 96 is one thing, but there is another tier even before you hit an 89, which is like a 92, 93, where you're like, all right, now if I had just done a couple of things different, I really could have done it. Yeah, I played really well at Colonial this latest episode, and I was thinking about it. I really wish I had done it that day, obviously, because I felt like everything for the most part was working, especially the parts of my game that sometimes aren't working. Some days you just can't chip, and some days you just can't putt. And that day, I, for some reason, could do both of them. The putting, and I'm probably going to regret saying this because there's a clip of me out there that I regret saying it, but I think I figured out the putting. I just, for whatever reason, I've figured out what I'm doing when I stand over a putt. And I know, Lurch, that sounds foreign, that sounds insane. You and I are guys that have talked about how when we walk onto a green, we feel like we're standing on a waterbed. For whatever reason, I'm one of the great lag putters in the world right now. And yeah.
All right, keep going. Get the full thought out because it's ridiculous.
But I watched the episode back. I watched it while it was airing. I was one of the 10,000 people that were watching me try to break 90. And I was surprised at how good my chipping was. I was more aggressive with my chipping. And I don't remember being like fully conscious of doing that, but my chips, I was giving them a chance. I was running them up onto the green. Usually they're short or they land on the fringe, and it's like, now we're definitely gonna have to 2-putt. But I was getting up and down from some spots where I never would in the past. The 3-7s are a problem. That's a big problem. If I don't have 3-7s, if I just turn the 3-7s into 3-6s, I shoot an 89. Which is just a crazy thing to look back on. I keep looking back on the 8th hole, which was Valley that day. Or no, Lake, which was our 17th hole, where it was a par 5 and I had to run it birdie. If I had birdied that hole, then I'd have to birdie the 18th to shoot an 89. When was the last time I made back-to-back birdies? Probably never. But at least I would have had a real shot at it. So there's a couple of things that were just, if I had just done a little bit differently, I could have done it. And I know I say that every time we post one of these episodes, but this was true because it was a 92 and a couple things here and there. If the sun and the sweat doesn't get in my eyes in that par 3, I'd probably make a 4. And it's like that makes everything way different.
That was a dramatic moment. That needed.
I was gonna say you made it a 5 there because you got sweat in your eyes. That's crazy. Maybe you make a 3. Like
I could have made a 3, definitely a 4. It should have been a 4 at the very most. So yeah, it was a great episode. Even if if you kept listening and the score got spoiled for you at the beginning of this conversation, it's a fun episode because it's one of the episodes, and it's a rare episode in this series where I have a real chance the whole time, and it's really, really fun. And Frankie shot he broke 80 again, so he's just playing incredibly well.
I was going to say that there's now, it's turned into a funny, like spin-off series with Michael Scott of Breaking 90, where he's trying, like, Frankie knows that the show is supposed to be about Trent, but he's like, I mean, you guys have to pay attention to what's going on.
I know.
We finished the first 9, and he goes, that was a 37. I'm like, what do you mean that was a 37? Like, that's crazy.
Dude, there's something about, because playing with Trent, he plays ball and hole, and like every shot means something like so much. It means so much every single shot, and I am also paying attention to my game just as much. It feels like I'm in a competition, even though I'm not playing against Trent. Like when I'm actually on the course, I'm like, holy shit, this is a day today. Like it's not just a regular round of golf. For some reason, that's been helping me like add on just really good scores. And I'm playing ball and hole. I'm legitimately taking it. I'm trying to like break par, like secretly on the other side of Trent. Like, bro, there was like the other day I was 1 over through 14. It's like I'm gonna do it today. I was like, I'm gonna just make a birdie here, and then we're gonna come into the final stretches, and I'm gonna end up shooting a 71. But yeah, no, it's been amazing. Trent had a really, really good chance. It felt like he had a chance all day, but it also didn't feel like that pressure all day. Like we were kind of on like 15 and 16 being like, let's just keep playing. Let's see what's gonna happen. He was like, he knew something was happening. We knew something was happening, but I think that the chipping was definitely good. A couple times where I was just, his chipping's getting so much better, where it's like, this is what I had to deal with when I got rid of my chipping yips. I now talk about them in the past tense. Is like, now they stop so much like on a shorter distance. Like I can kind of go closer to the pin now. So I'm always thinking to myself, like, give it a little more juice. Like now the point where I'm going to land it is closer to the hole than it used to be. It used to be like run it out because I'll never get any spin. Now it's like, oh, we can actually go like 4 feet, 5 feet right before the hole. And that's going to be like your landing spot. And I kept telling Trent the other day, like, just give it a little more. Like even on one, I'm like, give it a little more juice. And he ended up blowing it way over the green. But I think that set him up that day for being more aggressive of like, because then his next one, he almost drained. Like instead of like always being so cute, like trust that wedge is going to do its job and it's going to stop relatively close to the hole if you give it a little bit more.
Right. I mean, I had a couple chips that went by the hole that day, which is something I never do.
Give it a chance.
Usually lands 10 feet short, and it's because I'm a little afraid of blading it and it going over. But if you give it a real run, it feels way better. You get way more confident with it.
Dude, I'll say with your lag putting real quick, like if you played at this place that I played the other day, Deepdale, they call it like the Billionaires Club. There's like 25 billionaires that belong there. What they do to those greens is honestly the worst thing I've ever experienced in golf. Like, I love this place. It's probably one of the more elite clubs I've ever played. Just straight northeast golf course. But fuck is their defense to greens. I mean, I think they were running like a 15. And the whole day, the first putt, you're just trying to keep it on the green. Like when your caddy says, you just, like, good luck keeping this one on the green, I don't think that's fun golf. Like, I hit 12 greens in regulation. I shot like a 89. Like nothing about that was fun when the caddy's like, just keep this one on the green. It's like, what are you talking about? I'm 12 feet away from the hole. We're not trying to make this. He's like, you have no chance. You have no chance of keeping this thing in. So there is like differences in like courses played where it comes like that lag putting there would make you legitimately take your putter and like shove it up your ass. Like you wouldn't like know what the fuck's going on.
Dude, I'm so over courses turning up the greens as a defense. Like, go fuck yourself. Like at that point, just fucking grow up. Like, I'm telling you, Scotland really made me be like, this is how everybody should do it. Like, don't be an asshole. And I get that, you know, some courses use it because they want to defend and they don't want people putting up low scores, but like, grow up. We're trying to have fun. We're not trying to keep 12-foot putts on the green.
T, I would say congrats on a great round of golf, though, regardless in the breaking 90. That's a legitimate score. And then, yeah, I did a similar whisper. Frank, we were walking out to Friar's Head, and I think second shot on the green, just above the pin, maybe I had like 14 feet. I whispered to my buddy E, I was like, no, don't worry about the putting. Like, I've got it. Like, I figured out putting, just like T whispered it to himself. And first putt, I just D-greened right down the hill. Just like hit it. Maybe just he was like, ooh, and I was like, what? That looks pretty good. And then it just went 15 feet by and rolled into the rough. And you're like, all right, I don't know what putting's all about. Because those fancy places, man, they turn it into a glass table. It's a joke.
Oh, yeah. We were walking through the pro shop, and everyone in the pro shop's like, don't look at the hole today. Like, today the hole doesn't exist. I'm like, I don't even know what that means. Why is that?
Golf.
You're taking away the game of golf. Like,
right.
Like when your first attempt is not supposed to try and go in the hole, that is not the game of golf.
Every putt's just a lag putt.
Yes. Yeah. Like 8 feet out, and he's like, let's just get this one close. Like, what are you talking about? It's for bogey. Like, we have to try and make this. He's like, well, then you're making a 9.
The putting, when you do not have the pace correct, when you just don't have it that day, and obviously when greens are 15, like you're less likely to have it. But putting, like days when you just have your putting touch and the pace is good, putting is so easy because you don't even have to think about it. You look at the hole, you just putt it. You don't even really think like how much is it uphill, downhill. You're just kind of like, oh, you just feel it out. You're great. When your pace is off, every part of putting fucking sucks. Your lines change. You know you're not going to hit it close. As you hit it, you're like, go, 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 or sit, and it never sits. And now you have 5 feet, and you know your pace sucks still. So now you're like, just don't have 5 feet again, but you should be making it. And when your pace is off putting-wise, and shout out to Scott Fawcett, who we talked about last week, that's one of his biggest things always is like if I had to take somebody out and I had to shave 10 shots off their round that day, I would literally just take them and do speed drills for 15 minutes before we tee off, just so that they have the pace right. Because if you just don't 3-putt, you basically will shave fucking 10 shots. He's like, that's pretty much what it comes down to. And it's amazing how true that is.
Oh, and I've been practicing, so that helps too. Always helps.
I think the most frustrating thing in putting is when pace leaves you. Like sometimes I'm like close to par and being like, dude, I'm like, as long as I can 2-putt here, there's a par 5 up there, maybe I can make a 2-putt birdie. Like, but when it leaves you on like the 13th or 14th, I think that might be the scariest thing in golf, where you're like, dude, how do you get the ball close to the hole? And then you forget everything. I think honestly, that's the scariest place that I get to on a golf course, is when I'm like close to the backstretch. Maybe I'm like, if I par out, I'm like 73 or something like that. So you're in the mix to maybe even break par. And then putting leaves you and you finish with a 76 and you still hit the ball well. And you're like, this game's the stupidest fucking game in all of sports.
Dude, and it feels like on those days or those moments, those stretches, when you don't have it, you never lag it to dead. Even your good lags, you're like, you watch it dribble out 3.5 feet. You're like, everyone's like, oh, that was really good. You're like, no, it needs to be dead. Like it needs to be to a point where everyone in the group is like, yep, that's good. And when it's not, you're like, no. It just, those types of days, you can never just get it that close. You always have to mark it. You're always looking around like, fuck, everyone knows I could still miss this one. It's just so frustrating. The days when you're making everything, it feels like even your lags are like, you don't even have to make anything. You lag it to like 2 inches every time. And you're just like, oh yeah, it seems fucking easy. It's so fucking frustrating.
Yeah, I was playing a match and he couldn't give me any of the putts. And like we're walking off greens and he's like, it was Matt Barzell, like the fucking superstar of my team. I'm walking off the greens with them and he's saying like, dude, I just can't give you anything today. Like you have no chance of making a 1-footer, let alone a 3-footer. He's like, and I was missing them all, and I lost by 1 on 18. I'm thinking back to all these putts. It's like, this place is not even real. I don't understand why it's so hard.
Like there's moments too, like that's happened to Lurch in a few of the travel videos and stuff where he's hitting it so good and he's got these short putts, and me and Trent are like, we cannot give these to, like he misses them. So if he makes one
Don't smile
early,
about that, too.
I'm like, if he makes one early, we'll start giving them to him because I think he'll be fine.
That's not true.
If you miss one early, we're like, he's not going to make a putt.
It does. It sets a tone.
Yeah,
I felt like I set the tone the other day. I missed a 2-footer on hole 1. It's like, all right, well now, like if I just make that, he thinks I'm still putting great. But then it was funny. There's also those moments where like I was down 2 pretty early and I blew a 3-footer by to 12 feet. And he's like, that's good. And we just walked off the green. And like everything about that was embarrassing. And I felt like such a less of a human because we ended up pushing the hole. And I looked at him in the car. I'm like, yeah, that was very generous. Like he's like, I couldn't watch you 4-putt for a 6 like that. I couldn't go up 3. Like we're trying to have fun out here, and you clearly can't understand this pace. So let's just move on to the next one. But dude, it legitimately was like it was rolling off the green, and the caddy's like, yeah, I'll get this one. Like that's a 5-putt, maybe a 6-putt. I just was looking around, being like, I can't do this today.
Speaking about our own games, we've got in just a couple weeks coming up here, Myrtle Beach. So I'm quite excited about this because we've got really, and I'm pleased to announce that I shot my annual low yesterday. And I had been going through a rough stretch with the driver yips. Everybody knows that. I had a soft cap applied to my USGA GIN handicap, which is when your handicap is going up at such an alarming rate that they have to curtail it so that it can only climb. Let me see what the actual. I have
Do you
like
get a notification of that? Because like when you post a score lower, than like your handicap. They're like, hold on, are you sure? So you're saying you're posting continual scores higher than that? It
Like
says,
it was
hold
like my
on, you could be
handicap
cheating.
was going up at such an unusual pace that the system was like, we have to stop this. Like this can't be like, legitimate. So they apply a soft cap. I've seen this with my buddy JR before, and we were roasting him going into like a buddy's trip, and then it happened to me. So I had okay. So I posted yesterday that I shot 74 on Pinehurst number 4 from 6,700 yards, birdied 18, just played lights out, couldn't miss.
Great score.
And that my handicap went from like a 5 or a 4.9 down to a 4.4. So now it's officially not on a soft cap. But yesterday I had posted, because I shot, there's a video coming out Wednesday that for all the haters, this is a video that they're going to must watch because it's the worst probably on camera I've ever played. It was at Barstool Classic 3 weeks ago with Kevin Kisner. It's going to be really funny. We were a nightmare. Kiz, I think, got 15 minutes of sleep the night before. I was considered like the belle of the ball in sleeping terms because I got like 2.5 hours of sleep or whatever it was. And we were just a total nightmare. So that's coming out Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. People need to watch that. But point is that the scores I was posting during that stretch were so bad that they knocked out a few low ones from, 20 rounds ago or whatever. And my handicap went from like a 3-something, skyrocketed up to like about a 5. And they legit were like, your handicap appears to be flying out of orbit and we need to like keep it here on Earth. So we're applying a soft cap from the USGA.
Oh my God.
So my whole point saying that though is that my last 3 rounds have been very good. I shot 78 on Pinehurst number 2 from the blue-white combo, which is, I believe, my best overall round I've ever played on number 2. Granted, the greens were soft. There's been a ton of rain here, so that made it a billion times easier, but still played pretty well. And then yesterday was probably the best round start to finish I've ever played in my life. I hit 11 out of 14 fairways. I only had 4 bogeys. I had 2 birdies. The rest were just pretty easy pars, and it was a very fun round of golf. My whole point in saying that is we're going to Myrtle Beach. We've got Lurch's handicap has been low as shit. He's a ball striking machine. Frankie's handicap is like 5 shots lower than it was, it feels like 2 months ago. And Trent Ryan is on the cusp of breaking 90 when he did a whole series less than a year ago about how he couldn't even break 100. And so when we go to Myrtle Beach, and we can visit myrtlebeachgolf.com to shop golf packages for the popular fall golf season, really we could have something unlike we've ever had in foreplay history where the whole squad is playing the best golf we've ever probably played.
Yeah, without a doubt. I think it's going to be pretty good golf. And then when this crew will all just shank the balls into the trees and into the water. And we'll all be like, no, we've actually been playing good at home, but on camera it's like really hard. And I'll be making excuses and not wondering. It's going to be more frustrating. It was a lot better when I had no expectations. Like now I feel like I have to try and play better and like actually post better scores. So yeah, that I feel frustration coming, not success.
I feel like handicap though is really just your misses are a little bit better, but you still suck. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't mean that you're going to shoot a good score. It's just like your misses are just a little bit better, but you can still miss it all over the place. And like we'll see.
I don't know, man. I think some of it's pretty drastic. Like Trent's seen my game. I'm like all over the pin now from 150 yards, 107. It's crazy.
Yours has been a significant like drop though. Significant. I mean,
significant.
Learn saying like somebody goes from a 7 to like a 5.5 or something. That's not. You probably wouldn't necessarily know. When you go from like a 10 to a 5. I mean, that person,
it was crazy. Yeah,
you're different.
Crazy.
You're a different human being now. That's just that's different.
No, he's playing really well.
I wonder if a lot of it's like we're playing Colonial a lot. It's the first time I've ever settled down in a place, so it's like you're just playing the same course. I've always said that about guys that belong to a club where it's like way. I used to use that as an excuse for why my handicap was so high, because when you looked at my gin, it was like Pebble Beach, Bandon Dunes, Spyglass, like, and these were the best places in the world. But holy shit, is it hard to just show up to those places and score your best score out of your last 20 rounds? You know, it's like very, very hard to lower that number. So now I feel like I'm getting into a groove where you're just playing a lot more golf. We're also playing so much more. I think I've like inputted like 35 rounds this year. Last year I only had like 26 or something like that. So I'm already past what I was all last year.
I'm definitely. It really does come down to like you just got to play more. Like, we do the breaking 90s, and obviously we do the travel series, Scotland and all over. But I'll also just go out to Colonial and play quick 9 holes in an hour and a half, and that will change everything. because you keep playing, It's the most obvious thing in the world. The more golf you play, the better you get at it.
Muscle memory, right? Just like standing over a shot and just like you don't even have to really think about it. You just pull the trigger. It is so much different than when you haven't played in weeks and you're sitting in an apartment or a desk or an office, and then you get out there and you're just kind of like standing over something that's foreign. It's way harder to hit because you have to think about every aspect of your swing. Where when you do it pretty routinely several times a week, it doesn't feel like you really think about much. You're kind of just like, hey, I just swing at this thing. Just like if I were to just throw a baseball at somebody, I would just throw a baseball. It's like, it becomes much easier. But point is, Myrtle Beach, we're excited to get there. Sandy white beaches, all kinds of cool restaurants, over 70 golf courses. You can check out our package, all right? Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. It's the golf capital of the world if you didn't know that. The Myrtle Beach Golf Trail, where you could choose from 20 different award-winning courses. Some of those courses include the Gary Player designed Blackmore Golf Club and River's Edge, named among Golf Digest Top 100 courses. Book your golf package at myrtlebeachgolf.com. Package includes free replays, lodging, and free breakfast starting at just $290 per golfer for 3 rounds and 3 nights. Lodging options include oceanfront villas, golf villas, and condos, so visit myrtlebeachgolf.com. Yeah, Trent, I noticed it sounds like you're doing a little kind of therapeutic just grinding, where you're going to the course, you're going to the range, you're just kind of working on the game. I feel like that's probably better for you than being in fucking Manhattan.
Yeah, it's much better. And, like Frankie said, having a place where you can just go and hit balls and putt and play 9 holes in an hour and a half if you want to. Again, it's the most obvious thing in the world, but it helps way, way more. You feel way more comfortable. And yeah, when I was living in Manhattan, it was an hour and a half trek to wherever we were going. We'd play for 5 hours and then it'd be another hour. Like, it's a full day if you live in Manhattan. So the move out to Long Island has paid dividends in a lot of ways, and golf is certainly one of them, where I'm just, what?
Sorry, I thought you were about to end that sentence. I was going to say, since you're out here and you're only a couple minutes away, do you want to help me get a mattress upstairs once this recording's over? Because I got this fucking guest room it's just sitting right there in the front of my house, right in the middle of my house. Right when you walk in, there's a fucking mattress, and we couldn't bring it up last night because we're all weak. Everyone in this house is weak.
Putting you in a tough spot here. Can you say no? Like, just publicly?
Can you just come over and just lift this thing up?
Let me say a few things before I get to my answer. All the things that I was saying that were positives about getting out of Manhattan. I get to play more golf. I get to drive my car around. I can go to restaurants that are just like 10 minutes away. I hop in my car and I go. It's all great. And my apartment is much nicer than my Manhattan apartment. One of the downsides is being this close to Frankie Borelli and being asked on the #1 golf podcast in the world if I'll go over there and help him move a mattress. So
and it's one of those nightmare turns up the stairs too. Like, oh
really
man,
you're doing a great job.
Comes along with 1,000 curse words on the way up.
You got to squeeze it somehow. You got to squeeze it, and it's one of those really, really soft mattresses, so it doesn't really. It's almost like goo, but then it's so heavy. It's so fucking heavy, man.
I mean, you're really selling it for me to get over there, but yes, once this podcast is over, I will come over and we will move that mattress.
Thank you.
What a guy.
The best.
That's really nice. That is really nice. Colorado. So this is a call to Colorado. We need a Denver area golf course for a little scramble that we're doing. Turns out the 2 that we're really trying to hone in on, one's closed for a club championship, and the other's just being tough to work with, it seems like. So I feel like a quick little announcement, all of a sudden we'll get 1 million recommendations and invites, which is what we're looking for. So next month, I'm not going to say the exact date, but really good crop of human beings, eight people playing golf, 4 against 4. It's going to be a hell of a day, and we're looking for a golf course to host us. So reach out, let us know, and then we can go from there.
Colorado is my #1 state. It's my #1 state of all 50. I don't want it to slide down the rankings because we don't get a golf course in a month, but it's the best state in my humble opinion.
Really good spot. Just feels fresh. It feels gorgeous when you just say it. When somebody says Colorado, I feel like the images that pop in one's head are positive. Fishing, streams running through mountains, fresh, crisp air, like with a little hint of pine to it. It's just, Colorado's fantastic. I agree. We're going to be there in September, which is a really nice time of year. So, yeah, it just got me pretty hyped up for that, to be honest with you, Trent. A little Colorado love.
I love it.
My parents live in Colorado. Shout out to my parents.
I got
All
family
right.
out there too.
We got Rory McIlroy threw a remote-controlled golf ball into the water at the BMW Championship this past weekend. What a video. I saw this puppy has like 3 million views from one person that tweeted it out. What a video. Some just ass clown in the crowd had some remote control golf ball. He's trying to mess with people on the green, which is a preposterous move during a PGA Tour event. Really reminded me of that. We've talked a lot about how incredibly reliable golf spectators have been for the most part, and that there are just thousands of people around tee boxes, around greens. And again, for the most part, people don't fuck up the actual happenings of golf, which is a quiet sport. If someone were to just burst out in noise or in movement or whatever, it would stick out and it could affect the overall outcome and thus the history of the game of golf. And it just rarely happens. You see the occasional thing. It usually gets blown up on social, but it very rarely happens. This was as preposterous of a move as I've ever seen. Remote control golf ball on the green. Rory, he's with Scott Stallings too at the same time. And Rory pulled what I would say a very risky move, which is he went after the golf ball. Because you really set yourself up for extreme failure. It's like when you're an asshole kid on a hockey trip and you're in the airport and you throw a dollar bill out there with some dental floss on it and the crew walks by, you yank it, you set yourself up to be looking like a total fucking asshole. And Rory could have easily just ignored that golf ball, been like, nope, I'm not going to be that guy. He went after it like a cat chasing a mouse, and he had a few spots where it took him a couple, but boy, he fucking grabbed it. He tossed it in the water. He got a giant ovation. Risky move. Great result. Rory threw a controlled golf ball into the water.
You bring up a great point. I don't think I go after that thing. There's no way. Rory is a world-class athlete. I know he's a golfer.
You put yourself
He's an athletic specimen. Bro, the clips of me going after a remote control ball, tripping over my feet, landing on my face. And then people are like, well, now we're going to bring remote control golf balls to every single tournament that Trent plays in because he's going to try and go after this thing like an idiot and he's going to fall on his face. Rory, like you said, luckily he was able to grab it. Very funny move to just throw into the water. Like if you had said to me, here's a scenario that's going to happen. A remote control golf ball is going to be on the green while Rory McIlroy is on the hole and he catches the ball. What is he going to do with it? I would say Rory's like, he would act somewhat amused and then he'd give the ball back, be like, don't do that. I love the route of just throwing it in the water and being like, don't fucking do that. That's super annoying. The clip is great, but yeah, risky move to go after the ball. I'm glad it ended up the way that it did.
The fact that there's water there saved the whole thing. I mean, if there's no water, I don't know what you do with the golf ball once you have it. Like you put it in your golf bag. Like how do you stop this? Yeah, you eat it. But I agree. He takes the best route possible because he smacks it a few times with his club to kind of like, jostle the thing. Because if you're just going after it and you're doing like the classic, like your dollar bill blows away and you constantly keep bending down for it, you make a complete and utter fool of yourself. But if you like stomp on it or hit it a little bit and then bound down to get it, you save face on that because if you miss the bend down, then you look like a clown. Yeah, then it's all over social and these balls are coming at you like hotcakes each and every time you step on a green. So I think it was pretty perfect. He smacked it a few times, slowed it down, or just confused the little ball, and then he threw it in the water. So Rory's just undefeated.
Also, the way he looked at the guy, because the guy's standing on the edge of the green. I never really seen anything like it. Like, no one's, like, pushing him away. He's just standing there with his phone. Like, look at this golf ball. And, like, moving it around. Rory's staring at him like, look at this loser. Like, I'm just going to take this ball and toss it in the water real quick. It was actually a really funny clip.
Were you guys aware that remote control golf balls like this existed? I think in theory I would imagine that it would exist, but I never thought about it actually being a thing that someone would buy and bring to a tournament.
Someone told me about it recently, actually. I think it was like the crew that we played with Joey LaCava, that guy Patty Nolan. I think he was telling me that like, he had one or something, and someone like got so good at it that he was like putting it in the hole, and like a whole crowd was like everyone on the green is like, what the fuck just happened? Like the ball went to the back of the green and just started rolling in. Like you replace it when you're on the green. It's just like you just put it into the hole. You get so good at it that it just finds the hole every time. Something my dad needs. Like if I give my dad that, he'd get so good at it, it'd be crazy. He'd get so much better at practicing that than the actual game of golf, just to find the way, like the right speed.
Frankie, how's the have you guys had some good like debrief conversations about Pebble and like you and your pops like telling people at the dinner table about the whole like Pebble trip and everything?
He's been like in another world being able to recap it all because
Yeah.
it's all so new to him. For me, it's like I was just trying to show him it. So people have already heard like my experiences of Pebble a million times, and like I'm like it's just not a real place. And for him to be like, I actually didn't know this place existed, like the whole Monterey Peninsula. And especially MPCC, which is of course he didn't even know existed. Like that stuff to him was so cool. And but yeah, it's been a lot of fun. And I have so many videos on my phone. I have to get it to Brendan, and we're just gonna make a little video out of it because I got like from beginning to end, at least his reactions and some good shots and his post round reactions. So it could be cool to like watch a guy's first experience at Pebble. It's a really cool place. And the more I talk to people about it, I don't know that anyone's ever played it in that marine layer. I mean, every hole felt like it was being lifted up by the clouds, and all you could see was one hole at a time. It was actually a wild experience. Like 8, you could only see 8 at the time. You couldn't see 9, 10, or anything. You just saw 8, and it was like the clouds were around the green and going around the cliff. It was wild. It was like everything was fucking highlighted. You just saw a green golf course and just clouds, like you were playing in heaven. It was wild.
Did you guys get to like? Did you go look at it another time when it wasn't the marine layer, so that did he see some of it?
He never got to see Pebble with no true marine layer. The day before when we had the hay, you definitely you could see the water. The marine layer wasn't as thick that day. But he never got to see that like huge mountain behind Pebble, like the one that's behind 7. That's never been seen by him.
That's
yet.
crazy.
So next year he'll see that. But MPCC, it was beautiful blue skies and no marine layer at all. So he saw a 17-mile drive and that whole coastline that whole day, which was amazing. We actually, before Pebble, we drove up to like the Big Sur. It's like 30 minutes away. We saw nothing. It was so funny. It was literally like, it was like someone was holding up a white like bed sheet. And be like, no, you can't. You actually can't see this. He's like, this is ridiculous. He's like, it's like going to see the fucking Eiffel Tower and them having a cardboard box over it. He's like, this is insane. It's crazy. It was crazy.
Cardboard box over the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah, it was crazy. But no, it honestly gave me a good excuse to make it a tradition and just keep going back. And like next year, if we do it again, like it's almost like he's playing Pebble again for the first time.
Yeah,
you're totally different experience in the sun.
Or it becomes one of those like every year you guys go, it's just a marine layer every time. It's like it becomes a funny storyline.
We also were getting that thing like Joe and all the guys that we were playing with the next day were like this is the worst weather of the year. Like they're like 361 other days. It's been perfect. Like they're like, we've had a drought. And then when we were out at MPCC, it rained for a little bit. Everyone's like, what's happening right now? They like rain in August.
Incredible. Yeah, I was just because like maybe the best part of a bucket list trip is just talking about it for the rest of your life. Like and just rehashing it. And people ask you about what you did on this hole, and everybody's like, oh yeah, okay. Yeah, it's like the best part of the whole fucking thing.
Did I tell you guys? Because I told Trent I hit on 7. I hit it 20 yards. I chunked it.
Yeah,
I think you saw that in the text or whatever.
0 for 4.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's actually the worst mental hole I could ever imagine having. It's my bugaboo. I can't overcome it. Dude, I shot at 82 at Pebble. Ball and hole. Played great. I was chipping like a fucking master. I hit shots from 100 yards in off the fairway to like within a foot. Tapping birdies, pars. I get up to 7. I take a 54 degree. It was playing 89 yards, the caddy said. It was playing 89, 90 yards. I take a 54 degree because I could probably take a 60 degree and take a full swing, but I just didn't want to do that. So I'm like, I'm going to do my check down 54 degree. I'm going to hit it nice and low. It's going to hit the middle of the green, spin right next to the hole. The pin was right in the middle. I felt really good on top of the ball, and I just decelled like you wouldn't believe. I almost double hit it. It hit so behind the ball that it chunked. And then the fucking caddy had to take out his pinned rangefinder and give me a reading from 65 yards out.
That's a harder shot than the tee shot.
Oh, yeah. I put it in the bunker, and then I splashed a bunker shot that sat on the edge. Almost made a 3.
Oh, so you made 4. Not bad.
I made a 4, and I was doing this for a 4-play verse. And then I forgot to tell my dad to record the bunker shot, and then we never did the final, so I ended up having to do another hole. We fucked it up. It would have been a great video.
Fuck. Unreal. That's going to be a great video anyways, all your footage.
Yeah. It's good stuff.
All right, we got more. We got to break down what happened in this meeting. So Trent and I would say, did a great job of just discussing everything leading up to the meeting last time, but no information from the meeting had come out yet. Let's talk first about Cross Country Mortgage. We're known for having an opinion here on this show, which is true. To be honest, we're usually spot on. I don't know if that's true, but it says it in the ad copy. Our hottest new take, it's not a bad time to buy a home. In fact, for some, it could be the perfect time. With low to no money down or refi options that let you draw a line of credit with lower interest than a credit card, Cross Country Mortgage has all of your bases covered. Cross Country Mortgage listens, understands, and communicates throughout the entire loan process. I think Frankie, basically his Cross Country Mortgage loan officer, moved into his house and is still, I think, his best friend, Chris.
Yeah, Chris Devon. I just, I'm going to have to be paying a lot of money over a lot of time. And I wanted to trust these people with my life, my money. And I couldn't be happier with the decision. Cross Country Mortgage is legitimately one of the best sponsored partners that we've ever had for foreplay, because I legitimately use them every month.
Faster closing time than the competition. Friendly. They got like a small town feel to their entire company in the sense that they personalize your entire process, help you out, and stick with you throughout the entire process. See if you qualify today. Visit ccm.com/barstool right now. Cross Country Mortgage LLC, NMLS 3029. All loans subject to underwriting approval. www.nmlsconsumeraccess.org. Again, visit ccm.com/barstool right now. So this meeting last week, it was, the top 15 or 20 players in golf, plus a few other big names. Tiger Woods and Rickie Fowler flew in for the whole thing. It was basically Tiger and Rory emceeing, it seems like. And, for deeper reason, I think, than was originally led on, because clearly these guys for more than a year, it sounds like, have been working on joint ventures, basically in completely different formats than anyone would expect. One of those that came out of this is a stadium series, where it's not on green grass. It's completely kind of different. It's a gamification meets real golf in a stadium with live audiences. We don't have all of the details, but Golf Week put out quite a bit of that. It says Tiger Woods and Rory McIlroy are spearheading a new venture that will have the world's top golfers competing against each other in a non-green grass stadium environment. Golf Week has learned. Multiple sources say a series of events will be held in partnership with the PGA Tour, and that more specifics could be announced by Commissioner Jay Monahan this week at the Tour Championship. And then this was kind of paired with news from Alan Shipnuck and the Fire Pit Collective boys posted last week on like Thursday or Wednesday right after the meeting, that 60 players could play in an 18 event, no cut series on the PGA Tour, featuring $20 million purses each, kind of a tour within the tour. Notably, the tour has already announced 8 events on next year's schedule will feature an elevated status and include purses of $20 million. One thing that I found interesting, it says any ideas discussed at this meeting could potentially be brought to PGA Tour Commissioner Jay Monahan, who was not in attendance. So this is sort of Tiger Woods basically just assumed the duties, it sounds like, of PGA Tour Commissioner, at least within a pretty specific exclusive group of players. And Rory McIlroy's quote afterwards, where he said Tiger Woods is clearly the alpha, was fantastic as well.
What a cool time to be a PGA Tour player. I know a lot of it feels negative, like it's all coming apart or whatever. But to me, it's very similar to like when we get an email. Not very similar. It couldn't be more opposite. But in my life, when we get an email about like new benefits at work or something, where you'll get that like Barstool People email and be like, oh, the thing that we always do is now changing and it might be getting better. Like we like get a 401k match now or something like that. Like things are just getting better. Like we're progressing. We're moving forward. Everyone on the PGA Tour is just sitting around being like, yeah, like things are just like getting cooler. We're going to play in stadiums now. There's so much more money available. Like everything is just getting better than it was last year. This is fucking nuts. You got Tiger Woods flying in and just like coming to meetings and talking to us about how cool this job is. Like This job is so much better than it was 6 months ago. It's insane. So I just think it's been a big positive for the PGA Tour. If you're an actual player, like how can you not like what's going on right now?
No, we talked about that a little bit on the last show where the leverage that Phil Mickelson wanted to create is still there for the people who are still on the PGA Tour. Like you don't have to leave the tour to create this leverage. That leverage has been created. And now, like you're saying, Frankie, you can just make the PGA Tour better for yourself. You can make those changes from the inside and just be like, oh yeah, a year ago we didn't have this, or the purses weren't this. And now we have been put in a position where we can leverage for that to happen. And the chances are that it's going to happen because Jay and everyone associated with the PGA Tour wants things to be better so guys don't jump over to live. So what you're saying is right. Like if you stuck around with the PGA Tour, like if you're still there and you are just hanging around and like, man, I wish something would change for the better on the tour. Now it's just happening. An opportunity has presented itself where the thing that you already were pumped to be a part of is now just going to get even better. Like it's a great spot to be in.
Yes, a guy like Patrick Cantlay, like, hey man, like you like what's been going on recently? He's like, I fucking love this. Like this is the best time ever. I'm gonna keep making $30 million a year playing on this tour. I have less competition. I don't even have to play against Cam Smith and all these. Like this is insane. This is what happened. He's like, I was happy with it last year. He's like, I won the tour championship last year. I was happy with everything. Why is this getting better? Like I don't understand. Just because Bryson went over, like why is this getting so much better?
Real alpha move by Tiger too, like leadership of the PGA Tour, like corralling it all. I mean, like that's the biggest play.
Oh, how much shit do you think he talked in that room about Liv and
oh my god, and
just
Phil,
the most.
Phil was getting dragged through the absolute shitter by Tiger Woods,
like an absolute dagger, and the whole crowd just kind of laughs. Like, oh man, that's bad.
Oh yeah, because like I mean, I'm sure he was just knocking on like brands and how people are thought of now, and like this room special group. We're gonna go forward with this. A little weird about Jay, kind of like not being there, not being a pivotal piece of it. You know, it's like sometimes I guess maybe you got to let the locker room talk. You know, coaches will say like, "Hey, players, you handle this." So maybe not too much, but yeah, I mean, that's the move. Tiger flies in. They basically have this meeting 30 minutes away from the BMW champion. So it's like perfect spot, easy for the players, all good things. And yeah, things are just getting better.
At the end of the day, like Jay Monahan works for the players, right? Like the PGA Tour is made up of the members, and they really, as a collective group, sort of make the decisions, which always gets tricky. It's just like that with Goodell and the owners in the NFL, where it's like he works for them, but like they kind of want him to dominate other, parts of their group in certain moments. But does Jerry Jones actually run the show more than it's like pretty similar in this regard. But Tiger Woods is Tiger Woods, and that's we've talked about it in the golf sphere a million times of like actually playing golf when he's the needle, and how the ratings change, how the entire event changes. How when I was at the Wyndham Championship a couple weeks ago, the thing that was probably highlighted the most was never any one of their winners in particular. It was the fact that Tiger Woods played one year. And you're like, oh, fuck, that's like makes your whole event. It's awesome. So now thinking about how impactful he is, and then, pluck him out of that environment and into this one, he clearly carries just more weight on an individual basis than the rest of the entire tour combined, than every employee of the PGA Tour combined. And I think that one thing that he and Rory, I'm sure, were invoking in this meeting and have been invoking the entire time is that, they have the opportunity to be for the PGA Tour what Arnold Palmer was, right? When he is like known for shaping the PGA Tour and creating the Arnold Palmer Invitational and Bay Hill and like championing the PGA Tour to become what it is today. This is their pivotal moment, their crossroads to become that as well. And I know if Tiger and Rory and JT and Morikawa are as committed to legacy as they are, right? Like I can understand this being a huge appeal to Tiger to step up because he's obsessed with legacy. He cannot control his legacy as well on the course going forward as he would like, but he can control this aspect of it. He can be known as like Tiger Woods changed and took the reins of the PGA Tour in 2022 when they were up against the big bad fucking Saudis, and Tiger took the PGA Tour and was like, you're coming with me, motherfuckers. Here's what we're doing. And I think he knows that. I think he knows that he has that opportunity. That's why he gets off his fucking jet. I do wish he was dressed a little better, but that's why, I mean, how iconic is it? He flies his private jet up to this meeting and like is considered and talked about by Rory McIlroy as like the alpha guy that took over the meeting. I mean, that's as iconic as it gets.
Yeah, you could see too, like when they drove off, like Rickie looked at Tiger and it seemed like he's like, is it always this crazy? Because he got in the passenger seat and like Tiger kind of like chuckled, but it seemed like Rickie was like, dude, what the hell is this? You just move around, the world follows you in every direction, watching like the way, your legs certainly move, but like everything that you do. It seemed like a pretty funny interaction as they pulled out of the airport.
Yeah. And I mean, Tiger, to the point this year, I mean, there were news helicopters videoing his putts a week before the PGA Championship at Southern Hills. Like that's fucking Tiger Woods, baby. And I think now he's sort of leveraging that. Like, yeah, I'm Tiger Woods. Like, that's right. Do I like that news cameras are watching every putt I hit? No. But the fact that they are is why I'm able to now take the PGA Tour and own it. And I think Jay Monahan knows, right? Like, he can't compete against Tiger fucking Woods, right? He wants to dummy Greg Norman. He wants to kind of take the reins from other guys on tour. But he ain't going to be able to compete with Tiger Woods. So I do think he's probably embracing that. From everything I've heard, the players and the folks involved in the Player Advisory Council, they love Jay Monahan. So I don't want to look too much into the fact that he was not present, but it is interesting to note.
Yeah, I mean, for a while here, it feels like Jay has been on skates a little bit. Like, what's actually going to happen? We don't know. And then all of a sudden, the most powerful voice in all of golf, and will be until the day he dies, is in his corner. Like, let him do whatever he wants. If he wants to have a closed door meeting with all the best players in the world, let him do that. Let him walk into my office with whatever they decide and let him dictate where we're going to take the PGA Tour. Jay can take all the credit, and Jay can be out in front of it and holding a press conference being like, we're going to make these changes and we're very excited about it. We've come to a decision. Even if he is just Tiger Woods' mouthpiece in that regard, especially in this time right now where we're not in peacetime. This is not a peacetime for the PGA Tour and LIV. This is a time where everybody's scratching and clawing for everything that they can get. And Jay Monahan has the biggest, most powerful gun in his corner. Just let it work, and it'll end up working out, because the generation that is behind Tiger Woods plays golf because of Tiger Woods, and they are going to do whatever he says.
You want to know how big of an alpha this guy is? He's on the cover of PGA Tour 2K23, and he can barely walk down a fucking golf course right now.
And it's a big deal.
Huge deal. And you want to know how big? I also have breaking news in the gaming world right now. So today, they announced a lot of the information for PGA Tour 2K23. And I'm reading this live for the first time. Tiger Woods leads a roster of more than 14 male and female pros at launch, including Justin Thomas, Lexi Thompson, Tony Finau, Lydia Ko, Colin Morikawa, Will Zalatoris, Brooke Henderson, and more. Players can step into the tee box as one of the pros in exhibition, multiplayer, divot derby, or go head-to-head with them in a battle to climb the leaderboard and play the FedEx Cup in PGA Tour My Career mode. So you can officially play in a video game with Tiger Woods. You can play with fucking Tony Finau, Justin Thomas, Lydia Ko. This is awesome. And then Nuclear Golf is announcing that Michael Jordan is a playable bonus character on PGA Tour 2K23 that comes with the pre-ordered copies of any edition. You can play with MJ, dude. Bro, PGA. So this is what happens when Tiger Woods gets involved in things, is my point. He came on as like creative director on the player side for PGA Tour 2K23, and he's been feeding them all of his ideas that he's had apparently since he was the cover guy for the EA games. Like, not that many people know, but like, he had a really big say in the way those games were built. He always would go to the meetings. He'd go to the development meetings. He'd want it the way that he wanted it and the way that he would want people to be playing.
And he loves video games. Like, he
loves video games.
He plays a ton of video games. So he's like, no, these need to be good.
He looked at this game, PGA Tour 2K23. We're going to end up playing 30 million hours of this game because we played 20 million hours of the last one. You can build your own golf courses. You can play Divot Derby, which is the coolest arcade game of all time. And now you can play with Michael Jordan. Sign me the fuck up.
Well, listen, one of the weird things with the PGA Tour 2K22 where JT was on the cover, and people were excited about it because we hadn't had a golf game in a while. But then you got into it, and the pros weren't playable characters. Which, if you ever played Tiger Woods the EA game, which I played the 2007 version more than I'll ever be able to play a video game the rest of my life. I played that game so much. Me and my buddies, we played it for 25 hours a day. You could play with the Tiger Woods in the game, and that was part of the fun of it. It was like, holy shit, I get to play as Tiger Woods. So there was this weird stage with 2K22 where it was like, yeah, I'm excited there's a golf game back, but I have to play with this chubby, create a character that I created that's in a black shirt and khakis. Like, I want to tee it up as Eldrick Woods. I want to be able to fucking tear a golf course apart as Tiger. Seems like they're headed back in that direction, and that's going to make everything different and everything better. And you can play as Michael Jordan, which is not something I ever thought would exist, but you can do that now. So it's everything is what Frankie is saying, where Tiger Woods stepped into a room and was like, hey, you got to make me and Lydia Ko and Tony Finau and Will Zalatoris playable characters in the video game. And that is going to make all the difference. You're going to sell X more copies because that is what people want to do. So it's all good news. When Tiger Woods gets involved with something, he starts swinging his huge, powerful dick around, and things get done in the right way.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. It changes the entire game. The fact that he's going to be involved. There's a interesting dynamic going on where an EA game is coming out too, and the EA game has like the golf courses. So I think it has like PGA Tour courses, and it has like Augusta.
I think it has Augusta, yeah.
And so there's going to be the fact that there's two like competing games kind of coming out. One of them is Tiger Woods, basically, versus just everything else in the world of golf. is a amazing dichotomy going on. And then I want to shout out the Nuclear Golf. That's just the tracker community. And they just do it for the love of the game. So we got to shout those guys out. I'll never forget Dave following Lowry Tracker and then getting into it with Lowry Tracker when he wasn't tracking properly. And this tracker community, and again, it's just pure passion. They just do it because they fucking love these guys that they follow, and they get into it with each other. They have huge like tracker drama where like one guy isn't meeting the standards and isn't like happy with the leadership in the tracker community. So they'll like announce that they're leaving a certain group. It's incredible. So whatever those guys are doing, fantastic. And when I hear that we're sourcing Nuclear Golf on some sort of announcement, I couldn't be happier. I want to do every show where we just base everything we talk about on the show off of whatever Nuclear Golf reports. I
agree. Shout out to Nuclear Golf. What do you guys think it costs 2K to get Tiger Woods on the cover of that video game? Well, like, are we talking he was able to turn down $800 million from Live because he got $800 million from 2K to be on the cover? Because it makes all the difference. And he has the most leverage. He's like, I had the most popular golf video game in the world for a decade, however long, a decade and a half. Now you guys want me to make my dramatic return to be on the cover, because that alone is going to sell so many copies. Like, what is the asking price for 2K and Tiger Woods for a video game?
I bet you he's really tied into the rev share too. It's like every game sold. Yeah. It's like, yeah, I know you guys made the game and did all the work, but like I'm going to take 90% of all profits from every game sold, and like you could just figure out the other 10%. Like, I'm sure it's pretty outrageous. And to that point, like, yeah, that's why you don't like, I guess, shoot the people that got you there. Like EA now has to be like, dude, I know you made some mess ups like a couple of years ago, and maybe there's some brand imaging we wanted to work on, but to cut ties and not have your horse be on, because then, you know, as growing up, like 2K was always kind of like you felt like the worst or like the knockoff game from EA, but like you put Tiger on the cover and the whole world changes. And obviously the game that came out with last year was really, really solid, but I think it's just, he just takes the lion's share of all profits. It has to be with some sort of like locked in fee of $100 million minimum. And then if it goes over that, which it will, he just gets 90%. I don't know, something crazy though.
It is a tough, like if you're EA, you don't see this resurgence coming, right? Because, you know, he goes through what he goes through, his entire scandal, and then he's hurt, so he's not playing as much. And they decide to be like, all right, we're going to just grab on to the next guy. We're going to put Rory on the cover, and we're going to go forward with him. And you think, all right, that Tiger Woods decision is never going to come back and bite us because he's just going through it. And then he has this second half resurgence where he wins the Masters.
Yeah.
He wins the Masters. He wins a bunch of tournaments. He becomes this Yoda-like figure to the guys on the PGA Tour. Not only does he become that, but he embraces it. He has a softer personality where he actually wants to bring everybody together. He's now holding meetings without the PGA Tour commissioner to be like, let's all come together and make this thing the best it can be. And then 2K is like, you want to be on our video game? And EA is like, fuck.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to pin down this number because people are throwing around 100 million, which seems like an unbelievable number to pay somebody for this video game. And I have no idea if it's a million, if it's 100 million. I got no idea. But I looked up Madden 2022 did just over 7 million copies sold. And I don't know exactly what it costs, but I feel like when those games are new, they're like $60. Is that right?
Yeah.
Somewhere around there.
Yep.
Right. So that would be what, in the $400 million range that they would do in total revenue. That's Madden, which Madden is as big as it gets pretty much when it comes to like sports video games. Right. So if that's $400 million in revenue, even if they did like a fourth of that, that would be, around 100 million in total revenue. It might not be crazy that like they hinged Tiger Woods being worth 50 million of that. Like,
yeah. Well, I mean,
because
because without it, it's like you have nothing. So it's like,
Right.
it's like, okay, yeah, create your game and you'll sell, $10 million and you can split $10 million up, or I join it and instantly maybe we sell $50 to $75 million. So it's like,
Right.
all right, clearly I have between like 40 and $65 million worth of value for this game.
I also think that they went far and beyond their expectations of PGA Tour 2K22. I think that it was supposed to be like their first iteration of this new 2K game. Like it used to be HB Studios, PGA Tour, was never really licensed by it. It was called like the Golf Club 2019.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then 2K takes it over, which 2K might make more money from NBA 2K than Madden does on EA. So like 2K is massive. If you look at their releases, I think NBA 2K is the biggest selling video game like of all time. So, and I could be wrong about this. Video game lovers are probably going to get really mad that I just said that, but I think it's up there. I really do. I think NBA 2K is like the biggest selling franchise like ever. But now 2K takes over HB Studios, which was this little small, I think like British Columbia like studio company that was making this really, really niche video game for golfers that like it was more for the people that wanted to build their golf courses. It was like a golf course building simulation. Like you know how Vazad does like his train simulators, like the LIRR fucking train set, whatever. And then like there's a lawn mowing simulator now that people just mow their lawns. So that's what it was. And then 2K puts all this money in, but I don't think they put that much money in. And they sold a shit ton of fucking copies. So they're like, oh my God, we have this influx of cash now. Let's go like double down and get the greatest player of all time, which I don't even think that they had to pay that much for him. I don't think it would be in the $100 million, $50 million range. I feel like it would be like, I feel like they're telling him, hey, this is going to be the next 10 years of this game. And they probably gave him ownership stock in like that game.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Like I said, with Lurch, like I could see a fee of $1 million or somewhere around there. And then like a rev share based on hitting certain tranches where, if it's over this amount, you get this. I could see something along those lines, which still is potentially going to net him like millions of dollars for probably a very minimal commitment. Like I bet he does a few days of the year. He stays plugged in for the meetings here and there, but it's like probably less than a week of like actual work throughout the year. And he just is licensing his name and his likeness. And all of a sudden it just drives millions of dollars in sales.
Right.
It's also, do you guys follow PGA Tour 2K on Instagram?
Yeah.
Their last like 5 posts are just Tiger Woods, and then the actual caption of or the title side of the video game is just Tiger Woods' face, and it's very cool painting. I mean, he's worth everything to the game. The game is nothing. If he goes back to EA is now just a video game again.
Yeah, but it's like that's not true at all. That's just some like you're just saying that because you don't know how big it was last year. It was massive last year. Like they had leverage. I think they had leverage more. You're
telling me if Tiger Woods goes back to EA and now it's just Tiger Woods 2023 on EA Sports again, you don't think that's the top selling game?
Well,
It probably is, but I don't think that 2K is nothing without it. I think they were the biggest and only golf game for the last like 4 years. That iteration of it, whether it was the golf club and now 2K. And I know
right.
Trent's got to get this point in.
Well, I was gonna say a lot of the success of that game. I'm sorry. I'm
That was
sorry.
like I know
A lot of the success of the game was word of mouth of how great the game was. We loved JT, but it had nothing to do really with Justin Thomas being on the cover. What happened was they put out this golf game that people weren't expecting, and it ended up being great. I know the pros weren't playable players, but like the game is great, and the course creation is great. Like it has great aspects of it where it had momentum, and then like Frankie's saying, I think they took that momentum and were like, what if we piled Tiger Woods on top of that, who has a history of putting out great video games? When he puts his name on a video game, people are going to play it because they know it's great, and we already have a great video game. So with the EA one, yeah, Tiger Woods can put his name on it, but people just haven't been talking about an EA golf game in a very long time. So yeah, you can put Tiger Woods as the figurehead on it and people are going to buy it. But I do think with the engine of 2K being a great golf game, that is what's going to sustain it. And you put Tiger Woods on top of that, you've got a motherfucker of a video game.
Also, Tiger Woods probably told EA to go fuck themselves because they dropped him.
Definitely that. Yeah.
Moment of like when everyone was dropping him, and he's like, "I'm out of here. I'm never going back to you." So I think 2K had a ton of leverage.
I was looking up if they dropped him right away or if it took a few years. Either way, they did drop him. I imagine Steinberg doesn't like that. I imagine Tiger Woods and Mark Steinberg hold receipts. I imagine that they are a bit, vengeful when it comes to that kind of stuff. So yeah, they were like, fuck you. So that might have given, honestly, 2K some leverage too, of like, we know you hate them. Why don't you join us? Our game's already great. It's already selling well and all that. Speaking of great, BioLite, we got to touch on BioLite really quickly, which is from a hydration standpoint, it's just necessary at this point. Like BioLite has just created something that if you want to be a hydrated human and feel good about yourself, really no matter what you put yourself through the day before, BioLite is the answer. When you're on the course crushing drives, you're crushing beers, you're crushing cocktails, you're having a great time. The last thing you're thinking about is hydration. The next day, that's all you're going to be thinking about. That's why you need BioLite. It is IV in a bottle. It is a physician-formulated recovery drink made with all natural ingredients that will help you feel better fast. Instead of downing sports drink after sports drink, just drink a single bottle of BioLite, and let us tell you, it'll work like a charm. It really does. The IV in a bottle contains the same amount of electrolytes as an IV bag, so you'd have to drink 6.5 sports drinks just to equal one BioLite. 6.5. That's outrageous. Plus, it's only 45 calories, contains a third of the amount of sugar, so you do not have to worry about measuring up your carefully crafted body. BioLite is now available to purchase directly on their website. You go to drinkbiolite.com/barstool. Use the code FOREPLAY for 10% off your first order. That's drinkbiolite.com/barstool. Code FOREPLAY, 10% off your first order.
Quick point on the Tiger Woods thing, little data point that I just found. In his last contract year with EA Sports in 2013, he collected a $9 million check that year from EA Sports. So, I mean, this deal could be 10 million. I don't know, but that just validates that it's a significant income source for him to be part of this game.
Shout out Will Zalatoris for being a playable character. That'll be really cool. I like that it's just a random good athlete in there. Like, that's the kind of guys that I used to go after when I was playing the old EA games. You loved playing with Tiger Woods for sure. But, like, you played with, like, a Colin Montgomery or someone. You're just like, yeah, this is just a random. I used to play with, like, JB Holmes. It's just like, I used to love that shit.
Yep. No,
it was always fun, too, when you did, like, the tournament or the career, like, year or whatever, to have real names on the leaderboard that, like, you were contending as, like, Frankie Lefty takes on the field. It was always good to see a bunch of real people in there.
Do you see what Zalatoris said about Scott Fawcett?
No.
I don't remember the quote entirely, but right off the top, he said Scott Fawcett is not a paid member of the Zalatoris team. So it's just he's trying to distance himself. And I think during the quote, he was like, I don't approve of any of the messaging that he put towards Dan Hicks. And I texted Dan Hicks on the side being like, this isn't how I feel. So I think on that show, Frankie was like, I wonder how Will feels about this. He feels that he is cutting ties with Scott publicly.
Fuck, man, I don't know what to do with this video. It's like
Oh
crazy.
yeah, hold on. Yeah, you're right. I personally reached out to Dan Hicks and Brad Faxon, echoed that I don't condone what he said. Any interviews he's given have been unauthorized. He has tried to reach out to me and I have not spoken to him. I'm thankful to him for everything he helped me with and the ups and downs of junior golf, but those statements are not a reflection of my values for me. What are you going to do, Frankie? You're going to release a similar statement?
It's just tough, man. It's like, it's like we should have got this video out faster, but we can't because
or put it out right now. This might be the best time to just put it out.
He's actually a normal dude in the video. It's just he's a fucking lunatic.
He's been very normal with us many times. He's been great, but you can't.
He texted us on the side being like, you guys going to let me on the show now or what? We're like, no. It's just not. You don't get to just do whatever you want.
It's also
like,
the defense of like, hey,
platform up.
The defense of like, I need to like, those tweets are being like taken out. I need to come and kind of talk about, no, those tweets are your words. That's what you said. You like, there's no out of context. You tweeted them knowing the context. Like that's what you
And then he
said.
was like, well, and then he almost like threatened me where he's like, I like spent money to come to your video and like help your venture. But it's like, dude, the whole video is one huge decade golf commercial. I mean, we're literally using the slides from your website and your app on every single frame of the video. So we can not put that up if you don't want. And then we'll like pay for his flight or whatever. I don't know. It's like, I'll gladly do that. I mean, it could get messy if we want it to get messy. I don't want it to get messy. I just want to put out the video and show people how I went from a 10 to a 5 because he helped me a lot. Scott Fawcett helped me a lot. He really did. With aiming. Dude, it's been all aiming.
He helped your game. Look, it's a weird spot because we had him on the show. He was great on the show. We had interactions with him where he's been great, but man, he can lose it a little bit, and that's tough to defend. And clearly, Will Zalatoris felt the same way,
which is also fine. You can be a wild boy on Twitter. It's just then don't don't put that burden on us every time that like if that's the type of person you are on Twitter, and he does, bro. I sat down, had lunch with him, and he's like, I've gotten in all these altercations on Twitter and Instagram. He's like, I don't think like my sense of humor translates to Twitter, and like the things I try and say, like if I said them in person, it wouldn't come off as bad as they do on Twitter. Like I guess him saying "fuck you, Dan Hicks," like I don't know. I guess he thinks that we read that in a different way than he's actually trying to come across. He is a ball buster. It's weird. Like he doesn't really get how to come off on Twitter. I will give him that. Like he would say that same thing he'd be like, "Oh fuck you, Dan Hicks. This guy knows exactly what he's doing." You know what I mean? It's different than like, "Hey, Dan Hicks, fuck you and your family and the horse you rode on," or whatever the fuck weird shit he says.
Look at this tweet. This tweet though.
It's an insane tweet.
He said, "I really do try to bite my tongue with the commentators, but go fuck yourself, Dan Hicks," with 6 exclamation points. Putter was wobbly earlier this year. You have no idea what the truth is, fuckface. Sit in the booth. and then open parenthesis. Yes, this is a joke, but there's always truth in comedy, smiley face. So it's like, I mean,
yeah, he just doesn't get it.
It's not a joke.
I know.
He goes, fuck yourself, fuckface.
That's not good. If he thinks that's a joke, he also has to think that people are going to take it extremely seriously and they're just going to take it the wrong way. You can't have it both ways. So it is what it is. Like, I don't hate him as a person. I bet you Will Zalatoris doesn't hate him as a person. He probably knows the same type of person he is. He's probably like, fucking Scott just can't get off Twitter, and I just can't publicly announce that I'm like with him anymore. And now you don't think like his management's like, we have to just part ways with this guy? He's just like calling out all your commentators for your PGA Tour, and like.
And the thing is, he's got a great product. Like it's a product that people use.
Yep.
Pros use it. It's fascinating, and like. Yeah, you can have a live wire as the head of a company, but you can't and then let it hurt the perception of you, which will then hurt the perception of the company. Like him being like, fuck you, fuckface, and him thinking it's comedy, but Justin Thomas is like, dude, this isn't comedy.
Chill out.
You're being a fucking asshole.
Right.
I fly off the handle all the time, but I've never gotten to the point where I'm just calling people fuck faces on Twitter. Maybe burner accounts and tell them to go fucking
Right, not
say
real
bleach.
conversations where you just go off the wall to something.
Right.
It's like,
And
what
then in
is
those
happening?
instances, like those people deserve to be called fuck faces, and it is kind of funny. In this instance, he's just like didn't like what Dan Hicks said about his putting earlier in the year, so now he's calling him a fuck face publicly. You're like, whoa. I mean, that's not apples to apples. That's a escalation that we think is not warranted in this situation. So we're
It's unfortunate.
going to
I'm still gonna put
agree
the
with your
fucking
tweets.
video out. I'm still gonna put the video out. There's
Gotta
no
put
reason
the
why.
video out.
There's no reason why I should hide that. He's a good. It's really good. I think it's fucking.
I think it's going to be great for him. I think he's going to get a lot of love. Like that stuff is fucking fascinating. When he came on the show and talked through a lot of the data points and a lot of what it's all derived in, it's absolutely fascinating.
Yeah, it is. It really is. Whatever. Of course, this all happens to me. I get locked out of houses at fucking Pebble Beach, and the one guy I work with for this new fucking series, at least Dr. Brett McCabe's a fantastic human being. That guy just keeps punching out weird fucking Disney quotes on Twitter.
Nobody tweets differently from Scott Fawcett than Dr. Brett McCabe.
It's just he's just the nicest guy of all time, just down there in Alabama, just tweeting out Pocahontas like quotes and motivational shit. And then you got Scott Fawcett just being an absolute lunatic. God.
Do we have a lock update, by the way?
A what?
A lock update?
What's a lock update? Oh, I thought you were talking about like the series. I was like, what the fuck's a lock update? Yeah, the update is that I couldn't figure it out. So I'm now in New York. The house is in California. And I mean, we figured it out to the level where it's like everything. The place is Fort Knox. No one's getting in. It's locked up like you wouldn't believe. So much so that if you just have a door closed behind you, you can't get in. Like you can't even physically think about getting in. So it's all done. I've given him. Josh has been amazing through all of this. He's like laughing through it all, being like listening to the show. He left me like he's like calling me, being like, "What's actually happening?" And I've been bad about it because I have crazy anxiety when it comes to this stuff. Like you should have seen me when I was with my dad. I ruined that day for my dad at Pebble Beach. Like the first half of that day. Because I'm like, we're fucking staying here and we locked out. Now you're like drilling through people's doors. My dad's like, I'm not doing any of that. Like, I'm just trying to get into the house. What other option do we have? He's like, you're wearing no clothes. We got to get in. He's like, it's fucking freezing out here. We got to get into the house. Like, I don't know. He didn't leave us a fucking key for this thing. I'm like, I don't know, Dad. But now we're at somebody else's house and we're like making home improvements. I was like under my breath. I'm like, I didn't think we were making home improvements at fucking Josh's house today. I thought we were just playing Pebble Beach. Like, It's just crazy how much. And then he's like, you have to text him, dude. I'm like, I can't tell him what's happening. I'm like, we'll figure it out next week. He's like, you can't do that. You have to let him know. So I like text him this whole thing. He called me. He's like, I'm not reading all that. What's happening? And I'm like, I don't know, man. It just fucking happened. Here's the name of the company that can fix it like the day you get there. And that is what it is. He's like, all right, no problem. It's like, fuck. I just felt bad that like, no problem. If that happened to me, I'd be like, what is this fucking idiot doing at my house? Like, why do I need to get a new lock? But I don't think
I'm sure he was thinking that. I'm sure. I mean, he's not going to say that to your face, but yeah, I bet
he's absolutely thinking that. I'm sure I'm going to hear about it at the Dad Bod Classic if I'm invited again. I might not be invited ever again.
Yeah, your shirts, you're just like, your gear is going to have probably a lock embroidered on it, you know, and like, you just have to, you'll be the lock guy for the rest of the
I kind of like that.
Yeah.
I really like that.
Yeah, this is what it is. Tour Championship. So Patrick Cantlay wins BMW back-to-back years. Looks like he's just going to vault and be the FedEx Cup guy, which is incredibly lucrative. So smart move by him. We have the classic annual conversation that we have to have about what the leaderboard looks like going into Thursday, because we have Scotty Scheffler is 10 under par currently. Patrick Cantlay is 8 under. Will Zalatoris 7. Xander Schauffele 6. Sam Burns 5. You got Smith, McIlroy, Finau, Straka, Lurch's guy Sungjae Im at 4 under. You got Rahm, Stallings, JT, Cam Young, Matt Fitzpatrick 3 under. Homa, you got a bunch of guys too, 1 under and even par. So here we are. We're in the spot where there's staggered scoring to begin the entire week. Some people hate it. Some people love it. I cannot get over the fact that it's just never done, ever, never in any format, ever. And then at the very end of the year in their Super Bowl of golf, they just do this. I just can't get over how ridiculous that is. But here we are.
Yeah. I said last year, I like that. Like, this makes sense to me, at least. Like, it's not a point system. I get it. It's funky, but like, I don't hate it. I definitely do not hate this model. It's definitely weird, but I understand it and it's simple.
I mean, I've always criticized it pretty heavy. But I feel like if this last 6 months to a year of golf has taught me anything, it's that professional golf, it's that like none of this shit really matters. Like it's all just kind of like who's making the most money and like I would always look at it from a perspective of I want the person who puts the best score to win these tournaments. But it's also, Scotty earned it. It's weird. It's just weird. And looking at somebody starting in a tournament at 10 under, you're just like, that's so stupid. But then if you go back a couple more years, we would say, I don't understand who's going to win this thing because there's not a clear cut, like if this guy wins, then he wins. It's a confusing, convoluted system. So they changed it. They changed it in a way that I don't love, where it's a guy gets to start 10 under par before he even tees it up on Thursday. But if this is how we got to do it, this is how we got to do it.
I don't know why they don't just start at 0. I don't know why they don't just start fresh. I can't wrap my head around it. I've never been able to wrap my head around it. Like, if it's a tour championship over the whole year, why are you prioritizing a guy who got hot like the last 2 weeks as opposed to like a Scotty Scheffler or like any of the guys that had really good weeks in the beginning of the year? Maybe like you're just it's almost like you're prioritizing like the team that got really hot for like right at the playoffs. But then that's like its own championship. This is a tour season championship. I don't know. It's very strange. Just let them fucking start and win. It's like its own tournament. I don't understand why the 25th guy can't have the same chance as the first guy.
I guess like the best comparison is Formula One, where it's like if you had the best season, you might have a 20-point lead when you start, the final race. Now, what's different about that, and because people were making that point last year a lot, and what's not equitable in that is that like, yeah, but the last race, that person doesn't start like 20 seconds ahead of everyone else. That person, you still have to do qualifying in the last race. And you still then, based on qualifying, you might start in first position. You might start in 10th position. It's that race is its own unique race where everybody starts at the same. So someone can win that final race. If it's the Miami Grand Prix, somebody can win that and have this iconic moment where they win that race. Now, if you're JT Poston and you're starting 10 shots behind Scotty, it's unbelievably unlikely that you're going to win the Tour Championship at East Lake, which would be an awesome, monumental moment for your career. You're a PGA Tour winner. You get a bunch of money. It's great. And that is so weird to me because, again, never, ever in any other situation in golf does someone start 10 strokks behind someone else.
Because they're trying to avoid someone winning at East Lake and then someone winning the FedEx, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, this avoids that. This model avoids that because it takes in all your points and says you're at even.
It's just jarring, but it does.
But I don't get why they're so committed to like avoiding that. Who cares? Like, people have brains, and they can be like, "Yep, this guy won the season-long thing. This guy won this particular tournament." That's not like people's brains don't explode when that happens. They're just like, "Oh, yep, that makes sense."
Yeah, but I guess the defense I would say is that the points model is gone, and they never even talk about it until the last. So like, at least people are aware of basically if you're 4 under par, you're better off than someone's 2 under par. And so people get that where it's like, if you had those things going on simultaneously and like, yeah, Riggs is 6 under par at East Lake, but I've got more points. So like, we've got 2 things going on. It's that model's proven that it didn't work and nobody knew what the hell was going on with that.
This is them conceding that the points thing never caught on and people don't do it.
Yes, right. That's correct. That's spot on. That's spot on.
They do all year. They tell you like, oh, he's second in FedEx Cup points. They flash that at the end of like the tournament, and you're like, fucking change the channel as fast as possible. I don't give a fuck. Like, fuck your FedEx Cup points. And so this is now they got rid of them at the last event. The biggest point of the year when you would focus on FedEx Cup points, the only time it actually matters all year long, really, is like they just get rid of them. they just basically you cash them in for strokes is essentially what happens. And so now they've conceded that like, yep, we tried the points thing for 15 years. Nobody liked it. Everybody hated it. They had fucking Steve Sands up there with a goddamn TI-83 calculator and like a pointer and like trying to tell you where everybody's at with this and that. And now they've just conceded that doesn't work, and they have given you strokes, and that's all you get to deal with.
Their messaging stinks too, because they don't talk to anybody about, like, Riggs, when you just said at the end of the season, you cash your points in for strokes. Like if they came out and said that, I think people would understand that.
Well, the other thing that's beyond dumb, and I think the dumbest part of this whole translation is that if Riggs is 5,000 points above second place and
Hell yeah,
just like an
Riggs.
astronomical lead, yeah, well, he still starts at 10 under and like second
Right.
place is still 8 under. So those are like pre-bake points. So it's like that's stupid in itself also.
Yeah,
So
you cap it, which for no
right,
reason.
which is so dumb. It's like if you shouldn't cap the leader, they weren't capped before under the points model. Like make him like 38 under par and everybody else is like even. As long as he doesn't die out there, he wins. Like I get that. I mean, it loses all interest because you're like, he's just gonna win this thing and nobody can like come
But
back
he's
off that
I'm
lead.
38. Okay, if I'm
Has
38
earned it.
under to start the week, by the way, and everyone else is even, do you think do I finish absolutely dead last, or is
Dead
there a
last.
chance I finish like better than 30th?
Dead last.
Yeah, I think it's a lock. It's a lock.
4 days of golf, dude. You got to shoot like insanely well, 80, 80, 80, and like on average to go, what's that, 32 over? So then you're you finish 6 under, you're smoked.
Right. And that's playing really well
Right.
on a
Yeah, playing
hard golf course.
7,400 yards, whatever it is, then 7,600, dude. Yeah, I mean, you're not going to shoot
Getting
80s from
killed.
that distance,
No,
dude.
no, I'm
You're
gonna
like,
shoot fucking a billion.
right.
Even if I have two really good rounds and I shoot like 80, and then like my bad rounds, I'm gonna shoot 100. Like in tournament golf at East Lake. Are you fucking kidding me?
Their distances really come to fuck you when it's on the par threes. Like some of these PGA Tour par threes that are 255 yards away are just so mean. So mean. That's an auto 5 or 6 if you hit just one, if you have one bad swing.
So yeah, 214 yards, 238 yards. Oakmont, what the eighth? What hole? I think the eighth is 255. I mean,
Yep.
what?
No, it's 301.
301, par three.
We played when we were there a
Give it
couple
hell.
weeks ago. Kiz hit driver.
Yeah.
Kevin Kisner literally hit driver onto the front middle part of the green.
Crazy. Crazy.
It's like, what are we doing, dude? What the? We played one tee box up, and I hit 3-wood and like didn't get to the green. I hit a good one too. Sling TV. So you want to watch this stuff that we're talking about, right? Spectating. If you want to do that on your couch or on your phone, you're sitting on an airplane on the tarmac, you got to use Sling TV. Sling has something for everyone, all your favorite shows and your favorite channels, all right at your fingertips. Watch. What you watch is up to you. Just depends on what kind of mood you might be in. We got hockey coming back, football. Everybody's getting jacked up for football. I'm watching preseason games when I'm out at the bar. You got to get Sling TV. Getting Sling is really easy. Sign up, start watching in just 5 minutes. You can stream on any device and record up to 50 hours with included DVR space. The best part is you can pause or customize your subscription at any time. So they're not going to lock you in. They're not going to force you in anything. Again, we got all kinds of sports coming back. We got football, basketball, baseball, hockey, soccer, golf, racing, so much more. Check out sling.com/barstool for special offers. Sling, the TV you love for a price you will love. Try us today at sling.com/barstool. There's all kinds of special offers there. So go to sling.com/barstool.
I was ripping Sling all yesterday. I was flying from Phoenix to Houston to Newark to try to eventually get to Bangor. Just too many connecting flights. Obviously didn't work. So I'm stuck in Newark. But had Sling ripping watching the USAM. Shout out Smiley Kaufman. I thought he did an awesome job along with Colt. But I'm not sure if you guys got to watch any of that yesterday. The USAM was absolutely fantastic. It was great because it reminded me of kind of like buddies golf. Like they're in the USAM finals. Somebody goes OB and like he doesn't change his clubs. Like it kind of amazing because it's not professional. They're not perfect. They make mistakes. They hit some incredible shots. It was just absolutely fantastic at Ridgewood. So I'm not sure
Yeah, I
if
was
anybody
able
you
to
caught
catch-
it, but Sling was awesome.
I didn't see any of the final yesterday. I did catch it throughout the week because the amateur is such a grind. It's,
Yeah.
whatever, 2 or 3 rounds of metal play, and then they do 4 rounds of is it 6 rounds? A ton of rounds of fucking match play. So it's a grind. It's on TV all week long. We talked a good amount last week about the women's amateur, which was at Chambers Bay. That was awesome to watch because it's prime time.
Showed so well.
They're in West Coast time. It was awesome. I did get to catch Ridgewood's fantastic, and I loved that hole that they kept showing, that the green looked like it was the narrowest fucking green I've ever seen in my life, and guys were trying to drive it up there or hit wedges. And for whatever reason, every time I caught it on TV for a half hour, they just seemed to be coming to that hole, and we were just laughing out loud every time they showed it. Like, this hole looks unfucking playable.
That's the one that's slanted like this, right?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It's crazy.
It's crazy.
Absolutely ridiculous.
Bunkers all around it.
But yeah, Colt and Smiley, those two do a phenomenal job, and they are playing in the Queen City Classic that we're doing in Charlotte. Colt and Smiley have secured a team, so they will be out there. It's 2-man scramble, I believe, is the format. So if they don't win, they're never allowed to play in an event ever again. They're both PGA Tour. Colt won the.
They're going to be insane. They're going to
dominate.
The AM was cool. I watched a lot during the week, and then I did watch some. I definitely watched the closing yesterday, and it was whoever finished in second, like, he got it down to being 1 down going to the 36th hole, and then like pushed one behind the trees, and you're just like, man, if that's a PGA Tour pro, like, they both just pipe one right down the middle. But because it is an amateur, like, you don't know if like he has that moment to like drill one right down the middle, down one, going into the final hole of the USAM, and he just pushes one behind the trees. He doesn't give himself a chance. He's in the really thick rough at Ridgewood, was insane. Colt was awesome. He definitely had a different pep in his step announcing a USAM, like, because he's won one. So it's like everything about what he was saying, you could tell came from kind of like a cocky, I've done it before place, where it's like a guy hit, like on 18, the guy in the lead, was it Hutton who ended up winning? What was his name?
It was Bennett, Sam Bennett.
Sorry. Bennett hit one down the middle, and like Colt's like, he did his job. It's like, all right, yeah, because like Colt did his job when he was on the last hole. So I love Colt, but you could tell he had a different swagger to him walking down those fairways. Like, they showed him on camera a lot more. Like, you saw him kind of meandering down the fairway with his little his pack on. Like, it was definitely
doing the penguin walk.
It was a different Colt nose for sure. It was different. He had
it's
a lot more
insane
swagger.
that he won the fucking U.S. Amateur. Like,
crazy.
Colt, that is the biggest.
They said it
he won a major championship.
Yeah,
dude. Yeah. You look at the names that have won that thing, and then you're scrolling down, you get the Colt nose. You're like, fucking A, man.
It's so good that he won the U.S. Amateur. Good for Colt. And yeah, he's gonna have. I mean, he carries himself with like sarcastic swagger pretty much all the time anyways, and so then you get him at the fucking amateur where he's on the trophy. It's like as big as his dick could possibly get. Yeah. So yeah, he's gonna be
fans are screaming, "You did this, Colt!" It's like, sure did. Like, oh, okay. All right.
That's great. Good for Colt. Yeah, awesome event. The amateur. I need to get more hyped and like plan more around watching the amateurs every year, because they are as good as golf gets. It's so pure, it's real. That fucking trophy, if you win the U.S. Amateur, either one, women's or men's, obviously, that's like, I mean, for a lot of people, that's as good as it can possibly fucking get. Yeah, it's a major championship. I mean, Jack Nicklaus to this day considers his 2 amateur wins like major. He adds them to his major championship total. So Colt Knost won a major championship. It's shocking, absolutely shocking. Yeah, I have. Let's see, from the U.S. Amateur, that's pretty much all I got. A&M guy, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sam Bennett.
Yeah, I was more of a fan of Carr coming down the stretch. He was more of like a gunslinger. Bennett seemed like as dialed in, methodical, just
hated his facial hair.
Yeah, hated his facial hair. I also he took quite a bit of time to hit the ball, but like,
dude, what was that about?
He just had to like get confident kind of over it, but he definitely had a lot of sets.
He looks at the target 80 times. It's like, bro, what the fuck? Hit the golf ball. That was infuriating.
Miss a target either. So it's like, all right, I mean, I guess like he just kept ripping the ball down the guts, and like Carr made some great plays down the stretch, but there was one, I mean, like it's so much an amateur event. Literally, Bennett hits the ball OB on a par 5, has to hit another one short of the green this time. And my boy Carr, who's a total gunslinger, just does the same thing. He's like 30 or 40 yards in front of him, and all he had to do is hit like iron, wins the hole, no problem. We go on to the next, and he's still charging. And no, he pulls it, goes OB, somehow I think halves that hole, and you're like, what in the hell was that about? But it's fun to watch because they're not perfect.
He's gonna regret that facial hair when he gets older. Like, he's gonna be a PGA
Bennett,
pro.
Yeah.
And it's like you won the fucking USM, and you're looking at this thing, and you've just got this big chunk of hair just right on the chin, just the most outrageous facial hair of all time. It's like, I just could have won that without that.
Maybe he goes through a glow up. Maybe he changes his look. Like,
he will.
Yeah.
I
He's
mean,
got
you ever
to.
see Rory when he was young and all
Dude.
these, like Rickie Fowler? These guys look terrific.
Speaking of a glow up, and this is a different sport, but did you guys watch the Manti Teo doc?
No, I
Yes.
haven't yet.
No.
Stunning, that stuff.
It's
I
stunning, and
I have
I
a
don't
couple
want to
problems
give.
with that documentary, but
Oh,
what were you gonna
really?
say? Well, I really
Let's go.
enjoyed it, but I fucking hate how they turn like Raya into this like victim almost, where it's like the documentary makes you almost feel bad for the person that did that to Manti Teo. Like,
Yeah, she tries to play into the victim stuff a lot.
oh
And
my god, it's like
Yeah.
you're the worst person that's ever lived. Like, I don't care what your reasoning was. I don't
Dude.
care what you were going through.
there
The
was
fact
one
that
point.
you created this elaborate lie to the extent that she went to is the most psychotic, insane thing I've ever seen in my entire life. Calling his family, they think there's multiple people involved. The mother, the dad, the grandmother, like they all were in. It's crazy.
No, it's the things that she did were outside of like comprehension. And then there's one point in it, and I don't want to ruin it, but it's a great documentary. It's 2 episodes. I think it's.
Is there any like motive, like legitimate motive?
Bro,
You gotta watch it. You gotta watch
because
it.
like, yeah.
But Frankie just went away. But there's one
That was the
point.
best thing that's ever happened. Somebody have a special
Gone.
button there that we just hit. That was great.
She had left Manti Teo voicemails like, play well today. I'm rooting for you. All this stuff. And then when all the news is breaking in, he's kind of trying to figure out what's going on. And like, he's like, this is the proof that I had that I thought I had a girlfriend in California. And it turns out I was getting catfished. He puts out the voicemails being like, this is what I heard. And it sounds like a female voice. And she's like, I love you. Good night. And Naya, the person that did it, is like, I can't believe he put out the voicemails. And it's like, you created a person and ultimately ruined this guy's life. Like they go through the whole thing where
Jesus.
teams don't draft him. He falls to the second round and it follows him for the rest of his life. It's a really interesting documentary. And you find out that like, when it was all happening, it was like, oh, does Manti have a hand in this? Is he a part of this? They go through all of that. But Manti Teo looks fucking phenomenal these days.
Oh, good.
He looks super healthy. He's got this beautiful haircut. He's a great looking individual, and he gives this great speech at the end. But if I were to recommend something to somebody, I think it ends up being like 2 hours. It's 2 episodes, but
Yeah, I got a
it's
few things
really,
to watch.
really interesting shit. Really
Yeah, I'm
interesting.
adding that to my fucking list too. Hell yeah.
It was fascinating at the time because, like, I think maybe it was right before the national championship or like right
It
around
was.
it where they got absolutely speed bagged by Alabama. I felt like who was that big back? Maybe it might have been Henry that was just running over Manti Teo during that. And then it's crazy how like his career changed because he was incredible at Notre Dame. And then everybody was like, dude, no way could this 5-star stud be like duped into this. So I've got that in Game of Thrones. So I'm glad I'm aware of the new Game of Thrones,
It's a
which
good
was a big
list.
miss.
That's what I got too. I'm pumped.
Come off the Grand Canyon, really, the world really passes you by.
I've heard the Grand Canyon is awesome.
Dude, it's off the charts. We got it during monsoon season, a little different. The river is not blue or white by any means. There's no white water. It is straight mud water the whole way down. But the rapids are still as grand, if not bigger, because of the rain. And it is epic being down on the river, looking up, all the different rock faces. It's truly like it's what was our Scottish whiskey taster? What was the word he used? It is truly not remarkable. What did he always say? Unique.
Unique?
It is a unique experience on every view.
Yeah, that's high on my list. I've heard it's just awesome.
Yeah,
Absolutely
What the
awesome.
fuck was that?
pretty good. I don't know. You left
Frankie's
us.
back.
Yeah,
My
you
laptop
just
died at like 10%, and then I had to go run outside in my fucking travel golf bag and get my charger from when I brought it to Pebble. And then this thing was still recording, which is horrifying. My laptop was dead, and I turned it on, and Audacity, where I record my audio, was still recording, which means my computer for sure listens to me when it's on sleep.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Dude, have you ever seen the Snowden documentary?
Yeah, it's horrifying.
Yeah,
Also,
I mean,
Alex, who edits all our audio, is gonna hear me like sprint and like breathing heavy when I come back. And at one point, I'm like, no, because it's like it's dying, and I'm like, no, come on. And then I'm like, oh shit, it's still recording. What the fuck?
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys finished up that fucking Manti Teo stuff, but it's just got me going. I'm like, come on, man. You also have so much respect, and you feel so bad. I want to hug Manti Teo because he's the nicest human being that has ever walked this earth.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just a genuinely good dude. Everyone has to watch it. It's fucked.
Me and Lurch were saying we're excited now. We got 2 things to add to our list, which is everybody's always looking for shit to watch.
Totally.
Vroom. Let's talk about Vroom real quick. You can buy a car entirely online and have it delivered straight to you. So you never have to go to a dealership ever again. How nice is that? Speaking of dealership experiences are not great. I noticed, Frankie, you had a DMV experience. That kind of reminds me of a dealership experience.
Oh, DMVs suck. And I guess JJ Redick commented on our Instagram saying you could just do it online. And I guess you can, but I don't think you can. It was an expired license because my birthday was last week. So thank you to everyone that wished me happy birthday.
Yeah, happy birthday.
But it came. Thank you very much. It happened, and then you had to
cake?
go.
Birthday cake?
I didn't get a cake. No, I think I'm still waiting on it.
Next year.
Next year we'll get a good one. 30. Oh, ended my life. I got the new ID where it's like you can just go to Canada now with your ID. It's like everyone has to get one. You can go to Mexico and Canada with your ID. You don't need a passport. It's called like Real ID. So I had to sit there for like 3 hours and wait for this fucking process. It was horrifying.
That stinks. That's no good. Well, Vroom, all right? You don't want to have to go do that at a dealership either. Vroom, you can browse thousands of cars in one place. You don't have to spend your entire weekend driving out to a million different dealerships, meeting up with a stranger to buy a car. When you shop on Vroom.com, you never have to haggle or negotiate the price of a car. You can sell your own car on Vroom. You get a price instantly. You don't have to waste time at a dealership or deal with flaky buyers. Vroom is entirely online. Next time you need to buy a car, grab your phone, go to Vroom.com, check out thousands of great cars. That's Vroom.com, VROOM.com. Go check out Vroom.com right now. You can buy a car online. Very easy process.
I meant to tell you guys this. Frankie mentioned JJ Redick commenting on something that we put up. I put up a teaser for Breaking 90 when it came out last week. You know who liked it? Rickie Fowler.
Wow. Till Gang.
Wow.
He's an interesting guy in our world. He's an interesting guy overall, but he's just sort of in our world, sort of not. I had that DM interaction with him where we talked about Till Gang, and then he liked the teaser of that video. I don't know what any of it means.
Keeps us at arm's length, it feels like, for no real reason.
Yeah, we just can't grab him. Like, something about him. Someone asked me yesterday, like, oh, have you guys ever had Cantlay on? I'm like, it's just like him and, like, Rickie. We just can't. There's something, I don't know why. I just got zoned. I zoned out for a second.
Wait, was that your computer or your brain?
That was my brain.
Your brain.
I was like, Cantlay, Rickie, there's like a couple guys. We've gotten all their peers and their friends, and like they love coming on the show. But something about those guys, we just like Xander's been on the show multiple times. It's crazy that we can't get Rickie.
Just made me think, like, how great and how big would a 4-man scramble with Rickie Fowler be?
Oh,
huge. Just come on, man. Like, he's liking the posts. I know he's a family man now. He seems more chill. Like, he's not playing great, but we would love to bring him into our world.
For sure.
I've heard, too, nothing but good things about Rickie Fowler.
Right.
Remember we saw him at TaylorMade Media Day, and he just had, like, the sickest sports car I think I've ever seen in my entire life.
He said what's up to us that day, too, didn't he, when he was driving by? Like, I don't think he hates us. I just think we haven't set anything up. It might be one of the scenarios where we've never actually asked.
That's probably right.
Have we asked?
I think we have, but it's been years.
Okay.
Like, I think we're way more in his orbit now than we were.
I think let's try to get something going with Rickie Fowler.
I agree. If Rickie wants to come on the show or we want to get him, we should probably be more proactive and just get him on the show. That's probably what we should do. We'll just add him to our list of people we're going to track down.
I think I want to DM him again.
Wow. You're going to DM him and see if he'll come on the show?
Yeah.
Do you think he's going to have any, like, live stipulations? You can't ask about live?
That's an interesting question. But no, I don't think so.
You think he's pretty hot in the streets right now after his Tiger trip?
Right. Like I
Has to help.
think if like we could ask him about that, like I think he would be open to. I don't know. I don't know Rickie Fowler at all. I just know that he liked the teaser of mine last week, so he's been on my mind. I think we should reach out to him maybe via my DMs and be like, hey man, you just want to come on the show?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do we want to
Yes.
do the DM right now, or do we want
Yeah.
to
Do something. Are you gonna throw Tillery in there?
Well, we can make that decision right now if you
That's
want.
how you make a little. That's how you make a little connection there, Trent Ryan. I like it.
I think you
I
say,
think Frankie's
like,
right.
hey, yeah, I think, hey man, like, would love to have you on the show. Something about we could talk about Tillery helping both our games or some stupid shit like that. However you want to tie in Tillery, you have to though.
You know what's crazy? So we had that DM back and forth, which was over a year ago now. It was June of 2021.
Wild.
And we went back and forth. I sent him the one that I definitely didn't think he was going to respond to. He did. He did hashtag Tillgang. And then I hit him back and said, glad to hear it, man. JT is the best. He's helped me a ton with my game. Best of luck with everything going forward. Never read it.
Wow.
Oh.
But I think
Maybe you
if
don't
we
DM.
I'm going to have to double DM now. But I think if we re-up, he might see that one.
That's fine because Scotty Scheffler just read my text and my DM never answered. I think he's also trying to win like the tour championship. I was like, hey, are you around for a 4-man scramble before the playoffs? He's just like, I'm not answering that.
Yeah, that makes sense. He did read it though.
Yeah, he read it. Yeah,
I think I'm in a better spot than you are with Ricky.
big time, big time.
All right, we don't have to formulate it now, but I'll come up with something.
Formulate it right now.
All right, well, then you guys got to help me.
What do you have like a general thought on which direction you want to start with here?
Well, how do I start it since this is going to be a double DM now?
Oh, that's fine. I think it's been a year removed.
Ugh.
Hey man.
All
Yeah,
right.
you gotta throw the hay. This is every guy can relate to like having to send a text message to someone they don't really know, and you're like trying to.
I feel like you
be
do
cool
know
with
them.
them.
Like it's
Be
not.
cool with them. Like, yo, what's up, man? I like when you're asking for a favor from someone, you're like, it's a totally different experience.
I'm going to do hey man exclamation point.
What?
You could
Dude,
say
I would just say like,
I don't
thanks
hate
for-
the exclamation point. That's
Sup,
shows
Rob?
you got some excitement coming in here.
If I did hey man period, he's going to be like, all right, well, somebody died in his family and he wants to be there like a cameo or something.
I think, hey man, exclamation point, and then maybe you say something like
you already sent it?
something like no.
Oh,
Something
I
like
thought I saw
we
two
were
dots there.
just talking about you on the show and like our latest with Tillery or something along those lines. And then so get that in established, like remember we're Tillgang together, and then something like we'd love to talk more about it on the podcast or something like that. Can't believe
Yeah,
we've never
dude.
had you on.
Okay.
Be like, we got to get you on the show. We have to talk about Tillery. Like it's crazy we haven't had you on yet, or something like that. You know what I mean? Like make him feel like, fuck, that's right. Like how am I not going on the show talking about John Tillery?
Right.
You put it. You're the victim here. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
you make him feel like he's done something wrong.
I can't believe I haven't done that yet. Like what?
Yeah.
My bad. Like of course I'll come on.
Hey man.
Hey man, I haven't been able to pay my rent because you haven't come on the show yet. I had something in my contract that if Rickie Fowler came on, they'd pay me more money, and you just haven't come on. And now my kids are dying in the streets.
Said, hey man, we were just talking about breaking 90 and Tillery on the show. Your name came up.
Oh, throw up.
All right.
We're workshopping it. We're workshopping it, right?
Your
Trent,
name came up. Yeah, of course his name came up. He's Rickie fucking Fowler.
no suggestion is
Well,
a bad suggestion right now.
do
Let's
I-
try to just air this out in real time.
Do I say like, hey, saw that you liked my teaser?
I would just
No,
say,
dude. I think you say, come on this. Like, hey man, hope all is good. Would love to have you on the show one of these days. We got to talk about Tillery.
Okay, I actually like that.
Yeah,
Hey,
we'd
man.
love to have you on the show soon.
Yeah, I'd love to have you on the show soon. We got to talk about Tillery.
Would love to have you on the show soon.
Mm-hmm.
We
Period. We got to talk about
Period.
Tillery, and then I think you just
He's
leave
gonna, he's gonna see this and be like, these guys are a bunch of fucking losers.
it. That's true. Yeah, I mean, I like
This is how we do it, though. We always do it out in the open. You know, every podcast company has to talk about how they get guests, and we just happen to do it on the show.
That's fine. That is the show. The show is us talking about how we're going to get guests for the show.
Hey, man, hope all is well. Would love to have you on the show soon. We got to talk Tillery.
Love it.
I don't love it.
Well, the we got to talk Tillery makes it feel like you found Tillery like with syrup on his ass cheeks or something in the middle of a dark bar. Like, dude, we got to talk about Tillery. Like, something bad happened.
I'll figure it out. I'm gonna figure it out.
We're not ending the show.
And you guys hate if he just says like, "Hope you like the Breaking 90 series." Like, would love to chat with you about like what I worked on, or like Till Gang or something like that. Like opening up that way. Like, I think that's like a soft open. It's
I don't know that he like watches the Breaking 90 series. He probably saw a nice, like a funny clip.
Hope you saw me struggling to hit a golf ball, or thanks
hope you saw me,
or like thanks for something like that. Like just dying over a golf ball, like a small little joke there. Working with Till,
knows that there's a Tillery connection, so I think like a hey man, and then like like
be like Tillery's been helping me with this Breaking 90 series I'm doing. Would love to have you on and talk about it. Bang. Something like that.
I think that's pretty good.
You circle it all together. Tillery's helping me with this Breaking 90 series I'm doing. Would love to have you on. We're always talking about how you work with him.
All right. Hey, man, hope all is well. How many times have I said hey, man?
A lot.
Hey, man, hope all is well. Tillery's been helping me with this Breaking 90
series I'm doing.
90 series I'm doing. What's the next part you said?
Would love to have you on to talk. Would love to have you on our podcast to talk about it. Like, we're always bringing you up or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
would love to chat about it on the podcast or something. Just like shorten it.
All right. Would love to have you on your podcast to talk about working with Tillery, or no?
No, I think that's understood based on the first message. First line.
Fuck.
Or you can say, would love to have you on to talk about working with JT. You can shorten it up. Now you know him. You call him JT.
Yeah, I like that.
Working with JT. This is a bit of a disaster.
No, it's gonna be fine. Just send it. Just send it, dude. It's fucking.
All right. I'm gonna run it by you
last draft. What's it say?
All right. Hey, man, hope all is well. Tillery's been helping me with this Breaking 90 series I'm doing. Would love to have you on the podcast to talk about working with JT.
Yeah,
perfect.
Done.
Send it
on the podcast soon. Because sure.
I don't know if I want to say soon. That feels like we're trying to press him.
We are trying to press him. We're talking about it on a podcast in front of hundreds of thousands of people about how we're going to text them. It's pressing.
Would love to have you on the podcast soon to talk about working with JT.
Bang, done.
There's no doubt we're pressing him. I think he gets it. Like this
everyone
message,
here,
this isn't you just being buddies with him. This is like, you're pressing him.
Everyone knows this. This is all out there now. This is all public.
Put the heat on him.
Sent.
Bang, the heat is on.
Job, Trent.
Great
really
job.
Good job.
What a Monday at work for you.
You're going to hit the range today?
I said, what a Monday at work for us that we just fucking sit there and DM Rickie Fowler, and that's part of the podcast.
Am I going to go to the range? No, I got to go over to Frankie's house and help him move a mattress.
That's going to suck.
We were actually
trying to drag out that texting exchange so that we didn't have to go over to Frankie's and
sucks. We kind of got rained out today with we were going to play golf today.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of rain down here too, actually. A good fucking
We needed it on Long Island though. There was like a drought.
I heard that the whole New England, like Northeast, I guess, has been no rain for like months. Been hot as balls. All right. We didn't get to a single from the gallery, which I love. We'll just do all those on Thursday's show. Enjoy the Tour Championship, Colorado golf recommendations or invites, or if you can set up a scramble, we're going to do a scramble, so hit us up. That's all I got. Hit it hard.
Hit it hard.
Hit it hard.
Hit it hard.